live. And for all of us, it's so lucky that we live in a democracy. And we're living through difficult times, but we're here in the world's biggest democracy. And what does that mean? So what it means is that our human values, the things that are important to us, our ability to be able to express ourselves, our ability to be able to influence our governments, to be able to change our governments, to be able to protest about decisions our government makes in a peaceful fashion. These are things that are really important to all of us in a democracy. And it is critically important in this new age of artificial intelligence that those things that each and every one of us regard as important, that those values are protected in that world of AI. So those of you who haven't opened your eyes, you can open them back up again now. So we've been listening to some amazing speakers, and I have to say I totally agreed with the former Prime Minister of Nepal, who spoke so eloquently just a few moments ago. Some really fascinating insights. So I'm not going to repeat what he said, but just to say it is important to listen to what he said. But I want us to go away from this conference with a few takeaways. And those are the takeaways about the importance of democracy in the era of artificial intelligence. The first thing that I want us all to remember is, in any decision that we make, humans have to be at the center of those decisions. We can't leave it all to machines. Our values, the things that are important to us, have to be at the center of that. And that means we as legislators need to protect our data, but also our voice, our image, our likeness, those things that are intrinsic to all of us as humans. The second thing that I would say is that it's important that we get the balance right between supporting innovation and encouraging new ideas and safe and responsible regulation. And regulation and innovation are not mutually exclusive. It's about getting that balance right. When we look at elections, a critical part of our democracy, we need to protect them. We need to value that celebration of democracy. And that means tackling disinformation and misinformation and making sure that we continue to have free and fair elections in all of our democracies. We need to lead the debate around how we use our new technologies. Artificial intelligence is not a goal in itself. It's a tool for all of us. We should only be using those tools to ensure that for all of our citizens, the outcomes are better. Not for a few, not for those with power and wealth, but that if we're delivering public services, that we continue to do it in the best way we can, and if the new tools, including artificial intelligence, used in a responsible way, can deliver things more effectively, then we use those tools. I think it's really important in a democracy that we also ensure that those voices that are not normally heard do get heard. And technology can be an incredible enabler. So minority voices can come to the fore through the use of new technology, but they can also be repressed through the misuse of technology. So for those of us in democracies, it's critical that we ensure that those minorities and even majorities get their voices heard. And there is a danger that I would say that in this world of the tech bro, that the voices of women are not sufficiently heard. And I will say, I've enjoyed this conference enormously, but I do not believe that we heard enough voices of women on the stages here over the last few days. And for minorities in all of our democracies, whether those are ethnic minorities, whether it's the LGBT minority, whether it's those voices with whom we disagree, it is critically important in the era of AI that we also hear from those. I finally want to talk about our world and the battles that we're going to face in this era of AI and around the governance of AI and who's going to make those decisions. In a democracy, there are things that we value. We value human rights. We value the rule of law. We've been fortunate to hear some very eminent judges and lawyers here over the last few days. Those things are really important. But not every part of the globe shares those values that we do. And there are going to be differences. Coming from Ireland and from the European Union, we're not always going to agree with the United States. We're not always going to agree with India. We're not always going to agree with the great democracies of Latin America and so many other parts of the world. But what we all do agree on are important values about human rights, the rule of law, and the importance of democracy, about ensuring that humans are at the center of our decision-making processes. And we have real challenges in this world because not everybody shares those views. And our threats are going to come from those authoritarian regimes who don't put humans at the center of what they do. And India can play a leading role in this. So our challenge coming away from these few interesting days are how are the values that we think are important as a democracy going to inform how we regulate, how we roll out artificial intelligence over the next few years. And I say we have to face the challenges of those countries that don't share our values and that will misuse artificial intelligence, particularly against their own citizens. And we can see this with countries like China, who are using artificial intelligence for the purposes of surveillance of their own citizens. And we can see it with countries like Russia, who before and since their illegal invasion of Ukraine have been using AI as part of their warfare in ways that are just abhorrent to those of us who believe in democratic values. So, coming away from these really interesting few days, I want to set the challenge to everybody here, to our legislators and regulators who, we all came into politics with strong principles, things we really believed in, how we wanted to change our communities, change our planet, change the world, but particularly to all the young people who are here. This is a fascinating and really exciting time. We need to change the world for the better. And in this era of AI, we need to ensure that those new technologies are used for the betterment of all of humanity. Put humans at the center of our discussion and stand up for those values of democracy, of human rights, and the rule of law. Thank you.
Thanks for your address, Malcolm. And of course, with that, we now turn to our next segment and our next theme. at NXT 2026. We're, of course, exploring different segments, different themes over the course of these 3 days. And now, to speak on next in equality, and more precisely, in fact, to delve on the future of equality legislation by giving the case of Mexico. We have with us member of the Chamber of Deputies, Mexico.